Information systems consist of technology. So it's your hardware, software, your data, and then people and networks. Put all those things together, you get an information system. The idea is that if there's any technology that can accept input of some kind, it can manipulate that input or process it, produce output that is of some kind of value. That output generally is information. So you take in raw data, you manipulate it, formulate it somehow, so then it comes out as information. Information should be viewed and have characteristics that make it have sense to people that look at it or as data. Data is not always easy to understand. Sometimes you just have a bunch of numbers and it's difficult to make sense out of that. That's what technology is so good for. It's really great at taking raw data and allowing us to manipulate it in some way to extract some value and information out of it. So when we talk about MIS, we are really talking about three distinct things that overlap. We have an organization that contains people. So people in an organization do work. Then we have information that allows them to make good decisions. So, as people make decisions in their workplace, either it's small decisions about tasks they perform every day, or bigger, broader decisions about how an organization needs to shift its structure, perhaps to compete differently within the marketplace. We have information that should be made available to those people to help them make those decisions. Unfortunately, the statistics we see right now are that 50% of decisions are made from the gut, meaning just instinct or intuition. A lot of mistakes can be made that way. We'll talk about information characteristics soon. The better information, the more information you have, certainly can help you make good decisions. And then technology. When people think about technology or information systems, they tend to jump right to the technology. What is being shown here is there's really two other parts to it, the people and the information. So, we got some more terminology here like BI, what is business intelligence, and that really is extracting information from data. And when it says BI is information on steroids, what it really is information extracted from lots of different types of data that could span data from your industry, data internally, data from your competitors. And we're seeing now lots of data that is unstructured. So when you try to follow, for example, harness the content of your customers that are tweeting, sometimes they are tweeting images. Sometimes they're tweeting a language that where you put it through an artificial language processor, something like dope or bomb, these are negative things typically, but sometimes those are being used to mean good things. So we have to make sense of that kind of information, that unstructured data, especially graphics that are very difficult to understand. We try to harness that data, we can create information out of that, and like it says in the last bullet point there, help us make good, important decisions. Now, business intelligence typically is associated with strategic decisions, but it can be used for operational level decisions as well. Characteristics of information. So what is good information? It's information that is timely, that is available, so that's about location. It is in the proper form where we want it. So if you're traveling and we have access to audio, audio. If it's text, text. Animation makes sense, it's that. And it's credible, makes sense to us. So you see those 4 points here: timely, location, form, and validity. When any of those characteristics of information suffers, then our decision making could suffer. Sometimes it's better to have no information than wrong information or inaccurate information. So do you want to make a decision based on inaccurate information, or do you want to make a decision without any information? Almost better to have no information and you just guess as opposed to definitely making a mistake. Now, this is an interesting graphic here, and you see this in a lot of information systems courses. And what it's intending to show you is that if you think of an organization as a pyramid, sometimes you'll see it just as a triangle, and you put your CEO at the very top, and at the very bottom you put your entry line workers. So you have a lot more of those, right? People who interface with the customer, maybe at the bottom of the organization. There's a few things we're showing here. One, as you move up the pyramid, decision making goes from being something that's very structured. So people at the bottom of the organization, they tend to have very structured decisions that they have to make. When do I need to replace inventory? Well, that happens when you're low on inventory. When do I need to charge a customer? That happens when they have a debit or if they've purchased something, we charge them. So those are very routine, very easy decisions that not a lot of thought has to go into, and the kind of information you have are things like inventory levels and debits, credits, who owes money, who doesn't, do you have content or products on your shelf, yes or no. It's very simple. As you move up, then you get into the middle range, and that's where you tend to see your management levels take over, and the decisions that are occurring there are about operational. If we talk about retail, are we placing our inventory on our shelves in the right way to speed up or enhance the customer's experience? Are we pricing appropriately? If we think of services, are we offering our services in the right locations geographically? Should we be operating those services online if possible? Should we have customer support that is customer driven so that it's more of a help yourself? Or do we need to have people manning telephones? So, operational, right? And the kind of information that is used to support people at the management level in that middle layer there is still pretty structured information, you know. It's about trends, right? So some ifs and then type scenarios. Then, as we move up to the very top, the C-suite executives, people who are making strategic decisions, the kind of decisions they're making are big picture things. They're looking at their competitors, they're looking at their industry as a whole, and they're trying to align the organization to be competitive within. Others may be forming alliances with some partners that could then help grab more market share. And so, as you can see from that, they're going to be pulling in data from outside the organization, and sometimes that data, as we said before, could be very unstructured and the information be very broad. They're not going to want to sit down and take a look at spreadsheets to make their determinations. They're going to be looking at graphics, big picture type things. Ever try to get a CEO to read a detailed spreadsheet report? It's just not going to happen. They want executive summaries. So a lot of the information we provide to them come from things like expert systems, executive information systems, and their decision-based types of systems. They take in data, they run some scenarios, and they spit out alternatives. Because of that strategic level, there rarely is a single good decision. There's generally a set of options, and some of those options have some merits over the others, and some of the other ones have different kinds of advantages. So you generally get a set of options. This is really trying to sort of capture that for us in a graphic. We'll come back to this. We'll think about this a lot, because when we have information systems within organizations, they're only as valuable as the information they can provide. And if they're providing wrong kind of information at the wrong time to people, then it's really useless and their value is very low. So we don't even want to get into this situation if that's the case.